Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is CJ here from Three Black Geeks, and I am here with William Jackson Harper. How's it going, sir?
Pretty good, pretty good.
So, the good place is, wrapping up pretty soon, as of right now. And I think, because I've watched pretty much from beginning all the way up to now, and I actually enjoy your character's journey just from top to bottom and just seeing that progression and such. When you first got the role, were there certain things about that character that you kind of saw within yourself, or were there certain things you had to kind of get used to for that character, especially on the ethical side of what that character's nuance is?
Well, like when I first got the role, I had no idea that the character's name was Chidi. I didn't know that he was a professor. I mean, we had these dummy scripts that they sent out, and so I had no idea what the actual character was when I was auditioning.
Okay, wow.
And so I was, I was prepared to play someone completely different, but there were echoes even in those the fake script of who he is and who he became. But as we sort of journeyed through the series, like certain aspects, I really grew to enjoy that they were also really surprising and also sort of echoed my own life in a lot of ways. Like that indecision is something that's real. That is very much me. I mean, like, Chidi's version is a little bit more heightened and cartoonish than mine, but I very much understand that.
Yeah.
So yeah, but like the journey has been a lot of fun. I feel like it's really cool to have a character that is typically the nerd. It just gets to be the butt of the joke, and that's about it. But to actually sort of carry some of the weight of the thesis of the show is really interesting and fun.
Yeah, because that's actually a pretty valid point that you made about him not being just a nerd, because I think back to like some of the shows that I remember watching elementary, middle school, and even part of high school, and that character would be kind of like, oh, he's the nerd, and there wouldn't be any sort of three dimensions to him. And I like that he is, I'm pretty sure it's safe to say he is like the moral compass for the entire like kind of show and stuff. So was that kind of like a relief, like, oh my god, he actually has some three dimension to him and such?
Yeah. No, it's great. It's nice to. I feel like a lot of people can identify with the nerds more than Hollywood would have us believe. I think that more of us see ourselves in the nerdy characters sometimes than we do. The protagonist or the main protagonist of any show or movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so how is it working with Kristen Bell and having y'all kind of develop that kind of rapport? Because like I said, it was great seeing you guys kind of like build up that relationship with your characters to where, regardless of them resetting everything every time, they still somehow kind of just get back together and stuff. So how was that kind of like working through that with her?
Well, Kristen Bell is an actor's actor, and she really likes to really interrogate a scene and really try to figure out how to make everything really motivated and real. And but she's also very quick-witted and funny and fun. And so it's been great working with her and figuring all this out. Because she's very open to trying things, getting weird, and making odd choices. That's my thing. It's like I like to really get weird and just go for a choice that will probably be absolutely wrong, just to know that it's wrong and know not to do that. It's been great working with her over these last 4 years, because she's amazing.
Yeah. Is there a part of you that, like, for the show to get 4 seasons and stuff, is there a part of you that kind of wishes that the show keeps going, or are you kind of like, hey, this is actually a pretty good stopping point for the show overall? Because nobody wants anything to stop, but you kind of always have that sense that it's going to end at some point. So is that kind of a sense like you wanted to stop, or you kind of wanted to see it going, or how do you feel about that?
Yeah, there's no part of me that wants this to stop. I love working on this show. I love having a job. That's great. But the thing that I do love is that our writers and creator have they have the integrity to tell the story that they want to tell,
Mm-hmm.
and to end it. I think a lot of shows, it's very easy for a show to just keep going long past any sort of real conclusion, and then what happens is that like that show just it peters out, it just goes away.
Mm-hmm.
And our show it's one long narrative. It's a show that's not being taken from us. The story's not being taken from us. We are concluding the story, and I find that really satisfying. I think I'd rather have that than the other.
Mm-hmm. I mean, is there like kind of a close connection with you guys and kind of the writer's room in terms of where the character goes, or you're kind of just, or you guys are, or are you guys kind of just leaving it up to them and they just kind of go at it as it goes and such?
Well, our writers are incredibly smart, so we trust them completely, and they've also started over these last couple of years. They started to write to our strengths, write to our habits,
Mm-hmm.
and there would be lines and certain the way the lines would be put on the page is like written for our specific cadences, and
Mm-hmm.
and so when you have writers that just naturally do that, you just trust them. You just
Yeah.
Okay, well you're looking out for me, so I'm not gonna mix that up. It's because the thing is, they need to have their process, and there's also incredibly dense concepts that we're dealing with in the show, and they deal with that so well.
Yeah.
That the last thing I want to do is go in there and mess with that flow.
Yeah, because I like the whole idea of them kind of like, heaven and hell and just the way it's portrayed and stuff. Because like I said, I like different ways in which a lot of shows portray that kind of dynamic and stuff. So that was always great. For you, this is a good one. You were in Midsummer, and that was an out there movie.
Yeah.
Was that like, how much of a 180 experience wise in terms of that movie was that from The Good Place? Because I think that's actually a good correlation, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's working on a comedy is it's a lot of fun, but it's also a lot of stress because in your brain you always have the clock ticking.
Yeah.
And you're always trying to how do I make this joke work while also trying to be truthful in the scene. And in Midsommar, that was not a part of the, it's there's some funny parts, but but it's not the heart of the movie. It's not about how do we land these jokes. So it is sort of a weird sort of flip in how you think about things. But I mean, I honestly that's the thing that I love to do is I'm an actor, and so getting any opportunity to try different things, to play different parts, to approach a process completely differently, that's what I do this for.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just part of the job. It's that's what you do. I mean, I'm working on the Underground Railroad right now for Amazon, and it's another 180 from the thing that I've been doing for the last 4 years. So it's always a challenge, but it's exactly the challenge that you want to have.
No, cool. Well, appreciate you taking the time talking to me. Like I said, definitely enjoyed Good Place. Loved your role, loved everybody and that whole cast and stuff. So definitely appreciate you taking the time out briefly to talk to us. So thanks.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
No problem. No problem.